Hey, congratulations, everybody! It's episode 200 of the Married with Clicks Meta Lab on Monday nights. Congratulations! You guys have been able to teach me so much more about this game, and even back when I had a point of wanted to quit it and everything like that, you found a way to get me a little bit involved with it. Thank you so much for allowing that one small slice of uh, patron and accomplishments and everything like that. So please, let's make it 200 more. Let's go another 200 weeks of this, the Meta Lab. Jason Amber, you're building an incredible YouTube channel, and you've accomplished so much so far. Let's keep it going, all right? Great job, guys. Great job.
Happy 200th episode Meta Lab from Chris Stockhouse, putting my official stamp on this episode. I feel like I've been with you guys most of the way, asking questions, getting my questions answered, and it has really helped me grow as a better HeroClix player. And you guys are so great for the community. I feel like I can talk to you guys at any time, and you'll be there for me. You guys are great. Love you guys. See you in Philly.
Okay.
Whether you're Canadian, Irish, or American, the best things come in twos. Like Hawkeyes, husbands and wives, and Married with Clicks. Thank you guys for all the great memories.
Hooray!
It's possible. It never counted how many I hosted, but let's hope that we never go down that dark hole again, please.
Yes, the Velvet Fog himself. Cheers, everybody! Welcome to episode 200. Very happy to be here.
I think
Very happy
Jason
to be
forgot
healthy.
who he was married to.
Very happy to be healthy in this time when it seems like nobody is. my own live-in plus one of the people on the show. This is true. There you go. That's a fair point. Now there is the opportunity to qualify constructed after teams if you need to, right? There is a tournament. Okay.
Wait, is that a grinder?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Right. He's not judging.
I'm not judging. As of now, I'm demoing games, so you're on your own.
Do you know what games? Are we allowed to know? Are you allowed to say that?
I mean, I have a list. I actually literally have it open, but I mean, I don't know. I think that's confidential. So don't fire me, WizKids, please. No, of course not.
I thought I could sneak it by him. That's a fair point. I'm eager to know. Games are best. Yeah. It was the first one that came to my mind.
I mean, is there another? I mean, that's the big one.
Right. We definitely, like, I remember we talked about both Doctor Strange and Felix Faust, and our general consensus was Strange is a bit better, but I don't think either one of them is especially playable. It seems like more of like a fun thing. We'll enjoy this, but it's random. There's no real way that you could use it too effectively, which was evidence that we had not read the cards. Yeah, very much so. We missed the boat on that one. That's fine. I don't mind.
I wonder if we had in mind that you could re-roll that because that was the first time that was ever a thing, right? Like, who necessarily would have thought that you could prob a D20, which is like, so.
Yeah, 5 clicks. Ha! That'll never last. You forgot about the fact that we have to be able to attack him. That was obviously the problem. You need to be able to take actions of some sort.
You need to be able to play the game to beat him, yeah.
Yeah, we were taking for granted that was going to be an option, and we can't take that for granted in a Faust world. Mm-hmm.
Jason. I'm getting a...
God. Oh my God, I started the show muted to the people outside.
That's what I was going to say.
I'm such an idiot.
Wait, no one can hear us? Perfect.
Nobody can hear me. Everybody can hear you guys.
Emily said that Jason is muted.
Not anymore, I'm not.
Emily, just let me know.
I'm not.
Thank you, Emily. We love you. You're our favorite.
Oh
200 episodes of
Episode
technical
200,
mastery.
and I still can't figure this out, guys.
Welcome, everybody.
Look at that.
I'm going to bed. See you guys
I'd
later.
like to announce my resignation from the Lab. It's been wonderful, guys. See you all later. I'm just going to go ahead and just
Where's your sword when you need it?
Just going to play some sad Jason.
You want to play that sad song I told you to learn?
What, the Hulk one?
I wish I could remember that.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my God. I regret everything. Jeez Louise. All right, can everybody hear me yet? Oh man.
I can't remember how it goes from there. I just remember the first 2 notes.
Close enough.
Goodness.
Yeah, that part.
All right, back in action. All right. So
back in action. In action.
I'm in action. All right. So it's been 200 episodes. This is what I've said so far. I've embarrassed myself thoroughly on the show. I had wonderful introductions for Tom and Jay that they probably laughed about, and nobody else could appreciate because you didn't hear me say them. I introduced Jay as the guy who's been on the show more episodes than I have. I introduced Tom as the lovely voice of this show. I started a wonderful topic and reflecting on some of the things that we said and go back and say the bad advice we gave about Faust.
Scotchy Scotch.
Bum, bum, ba-dum.
We're off the rails already.
Oh, way off the rails. Okay. if you caught any of what I might have tried to say, we were talking about some bad advice we might have given on the show. One of the biggest things we look back on was Felix Faust and how we thought he was going to be useless and not a threat, and turned out to be a massive threat. I kind of want to say we were middle of the road on Unimind. We didn't call his dominance, but we did say, like, going into that Rock World Cup, it's like you're either playing Jakeem Thunder or you're playing Nighthawk Prime with a Unimind in order to stave off either the mirror match or the Jakeem Thunders. I think we came to that one. So that was kind of our middle of the road. Like, we didn't get bad advice. We just didn't prepare everybody for the Unimind.
Well,
It's fair.
it also necessarily wasn't Unimind himself as much as how much he could buff other characters. Like, double attack and damage on a Chase Hawkeye is just an insane thing, which is not necessarily a thing he can do inherently.
Yeah.
We could have that conversation about full point Unimind for the Super Q, or not the Super Q, the semifinals or whatever.
We definitely talked about that, and then it got played and went undefeated. So
Yeah, it's almost like we're going to have the same situation this year with full point Goblin King or something.
Yeah. And I remember us saying that nothing good came out of the Civil War set, and we were right. So we got it.
Yeah, let's continue on with, like, things we said that anything that might have stuck. Now I kind of want to think about other guys on this show that might have said something that so instead of like, hey, I said this very clever thing, I want to reflect on when Tom described the Skull Ship as a really good 400-point figure. Those of you unfamiliar, the Skull Ship at most was 200 points.
Yes, and unlike the that was actually an intentional gag as opposed to just being wrong like I was with Big Boss Hill.
Well, Big Boss Hill, you can't be blamed on. You didn't have the figure in hand, and you were looking at HC Realms. So HC Realms was wrong on that one.
I suspect that there might be a bit of revisionist history in everyone's mind, including possibly my own, because if my memory serves correctly, I was the only one who was really excited about OP Doc Ock, and I recall a lot of other people being like, "Yeah, he's okay," and then he started dominating.
I literally posted the Dow to HC Realms because we had the first one, I think, at the store. People were saying how terrible he was. I was like, "Do you not understand? It was. He only attacks 4 times after being carried. It's okay." You know?
that was a key to it. Wasn't understood by a lot of people at the time was the timing. A lot of people probably thought power action and then immediately do 2 flurries versus what it actually is, which is power action. Now I have the ability to use flurry as a free action for the rest of my turn. Like, so I think that lack of understanding can definitely, like, we can't go around and say we were right and you were wrong sort of situation. I kind of want to reflect back on things that we were clever about, or something somebody said that was particularly clever. That's why I went with Tom's description of being a good 400-point figure. It's like that's resonated me since he said it. Like, that's the most memorable thing Tom has said on this show.
Yes, that's probably true. But that's not a very long list. I don't know. It's funny because even though I know we did talk about this a little bit, like my defining memory of the show isn't a whole lot of individual quips and clips and good times. My defining memory of the show is a kind of a bit of the self-fulfilling prophecy that is saying, I want to have a good time and play HeroClix with my friends. I want to do better. I want to focus on being a better player, and by talking it out and by playing and practicing and considering and theory crafting and comparing notes, we'll get better. And I feel like we all have. So, I don't know, there's something to be said for the fact that, this little weekly hangout has made us better players. One
of us better players, anyway.
Oh, come on.
hey, you got a top 2 in Rock World Cup, and I got a... Yeah, exactly. Jay? And no, my sound didn't cut out that time, guys.
You made the top 4 Canadian Nationals last year, whatever it was.
2 years ago?
3 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Was it?
It would be 3 Canadian Nationals ago now, yeah. So.
But 2 years. Anyway, neither here nor there.
I remember when I used to play this game. It was fun.
Because this past year I missed top 8 by 2 positions. The year before that, I bombed out because I tried to play Deadpool and Cable, thinking I wasn't going to go to Worlds because I got the new job. And then the year before that was my Superman Indigo battery team. So yeah,
Cool.
It would have been 3 nationals ago. I got top 3. So actually, I've been on a downward spiral ever since.
Tisk tisk.
I blame a lack of practice because it does make your team better, and my team's
That's
been
fair.
terrible. Jay, sorry. Reflections on the show.
It's fun talking about HeroClix and not playing it.
Oh, nonsense.
That's your fault, okay? I didn't twist your arm and tell you to be a judge.
You play.
Competitive events? I played a handful this year.
I seem to recall someone winning a WKO. Oh, wait, that was me.
CLWKO.
Oh, no, wait, sorry. It was you, too. Sorry.
I mean, to be fair, that finals game, you could not have rolled more crit misses, so I still have lopsided feelings about that game, but whatever.
I suspect you might have won no matter what. Anyway, the point is you won. Own it.
Yes, I won an event that was sealed. It was good. It was nice. But otherwise, I remember talking on the show about playing more and then doing the opposite of traveling more to not play, so that's been fun.
Why don't we think about it this way? Do you think that if it were, like, I can tell you, if it wasn't for this show, I doubt that I would probably still be playing HeroClix, but I don't think I'd be traveling for it. I don't think that I would be, trying to compete in things like Worlds and Rocktober and stuff like that. Not because of the fact that I don't care, but because, the show creates a consistency, even though I haven't been on all the time. I've been here enough that it's created that sort of consistency and fed the fuel of fed fuel to the fire of imagination and thought that makes me want to keep playing. I want to become more involved. I want to do more. So I don't know. Like, do you think that you'd be traveling to Rocktober to be one of the main judges there and going all over the place to either play or judge in various places if it wasn't for this show?
No, I wouldn't have gotten as much exposure without the show to get any of the judge roles or because Mike Payne basically started me on the judging thing. And, I basically knew him from the show and related stuff. So actually not at all. So it's a cool thing.
What about you, Jason? I mean, like, if you didn't have this show, you'd still have the Metafix, presumably. You'd still have your own games. But what do you think? How do you think your life would be different if it wasn't for the Meta Lab?
My Mondays would probably involve a lot more early nights.
That's probably the best thing we can say.
But if I was to actually look on it as a whole, I know you guys kind of keep me going, and I know we are part of actually a lot of players traveling, and we do our best to keep informed, and as a result, that keeps the players informed. And by us being informed, we're willing to go to all these events that we possibly can. I honestly, there's a lot of events I wouldn't know about if it wasn't for this show. Or, I wouldn't even consider going to Rocktober or Worlds wouldn't be on that list because they were on my radar prior to me starting the channel. But, the idea of the Rock series of tournaments or, WKOs and stuff like that, like as the game has grown, this show has definitely been a reason I keep in touch with that. It's also, maintained my upkeep, as it were, on what's doing well and everything like that. So, where would I be if I hadn't kept this show going? With probably 1/10 of the viewers and a lot more. So here's a good figure and being completely wrong.
Well, and to say nothing of the fact that if you did travel to Michigan, if you did travel to Alabama or wherever you traveled, you wouldn't have legions of people, or at least dozens of people who know your face and have the ability to bring this community in a little bit more closely. Yeah. I think that's pretty cool.
That is an overwhelming sense I do have. I don't know if this show is. I mean, I know this show is a part of it, part of the greater whole, as it were. But that tactile conversation I have with a lot of players. Like, a lot of players come up to us and just flat out, "Hey, I know you from the Meta Lab," and it opens up doors to conversations immediately, and I kind of like that, and at the same time I'm a little awkward about it. I'm still getting over I am a bit of a computer program here, guys, so bear with me when I'm like, what's going, people are talking to me, what? I'm becoming more natural with it, and it's usually just a joke. Tom's caught me. Tom's calling me out. I'm like, crap. I'm
Oh.
I'm a perfectly social creature. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked Tom with his lovely voice to be on my show.
Right.
And of course, without this show and without access to Tom, I probably wouldn't be able to get to most of these events because Tom is usually my ride.
That helps too. And if it wasn't for this show, I wouldn't have access to all the figures that I play from all the guys who are on it. As my own collection represents a pretty small portion of the overall play.
Speaking of which,
That's-
don't forget to.
But you technically, don't you
I
own
got
your whole
I got
team
your
now?
stuff. Don't worry,
Technically,
your stuff.
That stuff you borrowed, I need for my team. At least the Professor X minimum.
Yes, don't worry, I got it. It's all here.
What did
The
I
funny
load
part
it?
is
We'll talk about it later.
Sheriff Strange, Brood-X, a couple other things. Anyway, yeah, I've got stuff for you, and Mike will have stuff for me. Well, you're right, Jay. I do own most of my team, or at least I own most of the Gotham team, thanks to you and your fine birthday gift of Green.
yeah, that was. It was funny how that worked out because it was just so easy. You had it in hand. It was less work for me.
My birthday was a day
package
before, and you
everything.
didn't even know.
Because you don't have Facebook, Tom.
I'm a loser.
we have them on WhatsApp, Jay. Don't forget.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
the future is now.
So, I mean, I also our stories go beyond the show, and I'm not gonna lie. Part of the video package, because we only had 3 submissions, I was originally remember Tom for a while. I was collecting what I called documentary footage.
Yes.
I lost all of it.
Oh no!
And I was going to intercut things like the Cucumber Rockstar and my apologetics of it, and it's like, no, you got to try it. It's great. Nobody wanting to try it in the car, and all
so
kinds
bad.
of funny stories from the road. We're gonna have to rebuild all of that now. Darn the rotten luck. But
Hey, it's just the beginning.
speaking of our stories from the road, what is your finest memory of being out in the wilderness with the guys from the Metal Lab? Tom, what's your favorite outing, memory from that outing, whatever?
It's hard to say because the most striking one is the murder room.
That one definitely is led to the most bullying directed in my way when it comes to booking rooms. These guys wanted a room at the last second, at the lowest possible price. What do they want?
I seem to recall you sort of volunteering to find it. Like you tell the story as though we made you find it. I don't know.
No. You guys made me find it at the last second.
My favorite part of it, and I mean, I'm sure that people have heard this story before, because we've said it before. It was like, to make a long story short, we were in a very inexpensive room off the freeway. They didn't have a non-smoking option, even though none of us smoked, and this was the most. This was just the most dank and unbreathable room that has ever been. The room itself was basically smoking cigarettes.
Yep.
Is what it smelled like. The carpets were oddly squishy, as though the blood hadn't fully soaked through to the cement. And like, we called it the murder room in part because it felt like the site of a murder, and in part because it felt like it was going to murder us. My first night there, I didn't get any sleep because I couldn't breathe. I was like mouth breathing the night away, and I was like, this is awful. And then soon enough, we got tired. It didn't even matter anymore. We had a lot of fun memories, but the one that kills me so much was just us arriving at the place and you going up to the desk to sign us in while Mike and I stood behind, and on the radio in the background, no word of a lie, was the Rolling Stones singing, "We gotta get out of this place." And Mike and I looking at each other and sharing an unspoken moment. Wondering what was to be. Anyway, I don't know. That's honestly that is a humorous memory, but if I'm being honest about what, I don't want to make it seem like it's all downhill from the inception. But one of my favorite memories was the first time that I kind of hooked up with all of y'all before I was ever on the lab. Was in Windsor.
Yep.
We went down for I think it was a Super Q or something.
First Canadian Super Q, I think.
Right, organized by Dan, and Patrick came up for it, which was really quite exciting, as well as Kevin. These are before I even knew who those guys were.
I'll never forget Kevin bailing on the ice. That's definitely from California.
Yep, as well as like Tim and Nick and all those guys had come up, and it was an amazing event. Snow was coming down, and I had driven in that morning. I didn't know anybody, but I had started watching the lab because I knew you guys kind of locally, but we barely crossed paths just somehow. I rarely got. At the time, I didn't own a car. I was borrowing it that day, and I rarely got out to whatchamacallit. Brampton. What am I trying to say? Comic Warehouse. I rarely made it to Comic Warehouse, and you didn't make it to 401 as often, and our spheres hadn't overlapped much. And so I remember that was the trip at which you first sort of mentioned, would I want to be do some stuff on the lab or show up every now and again to chat, and I was suitably enthusiastic to do so. It was one of the first major competitive things that I'd played at the time. Time was opening up. I was starting to get enough figures, and I was getting back into the game after a bit of a gap. And it was just a really special time because to me it sort of represented the beginning of the last couple of years, or however many more than that, I guess, last several years of my life, taking this game more seriously and finding a whole group of like-minded nerds and happy people to share time with that I didn't know were out there. So it's been profoundly exciting, and it's all because of that. And so it remains a very special memory to me as the sort of the symbolic launching point.
How about you, Jay? Tales from the road.
I don't think it's any one specific trip as much as just like that one chunk of time where there was just so many rock events and opens in Michigan and in Ottawa and just all those events. I felt like there was never a month where we weren't going out to an event. It was just a lot of fun.
That was a busy month. I remember that. Wasn't one of those the one in Ottawa where I got the top 4 and Tom had picked me up and I hadn't yet finished drinking?
I remember that one. I don't think were we in the same car for that one? I think we
were in the same car on the way home.
Yes, we switched cars on the way. Yeah. There was a lot of talk of stuff we shouldn't discuss on the show near the end there.
Let's just say me being tired, and I guess alcohol was involved in it at some point too. I started doing an impression of Gollum performing fellatio aggressively.
You gotta stay awake on those trips, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I never once fell asleep.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I did fall asleep mid-conversation on the way there.
Wow.
Woke up with a hang. Well, I mean, Tom, you're driving.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I stopped talking. I'm sure.
Yes.
We got there and I had a hangover. I was like, "Oh, standing hangover. I'm done." I still managed to get top 4 in that event. I was so excited.
Yeah, that was the event where I got top seed, and then I lost to Mike Payne. Even though, from what I had heard, there was like a miscalculation of math or something, and he actually wasn't supposed to make the cut. And then his team completely hard countered mine because I was playing the Quinjet. He had Loki, and I just could not do a literal thing to him. And on top of that, I couldn't roll to begin with, so that was fun. And that was when the prizing was still Chase Prime sets, and it was Spider-Man, which would have been about perfect for me. So that was a good one.
I'm gonna harken back to the murder room, and my memorable moment was a look on somebody's face. It was Tom's face. Mike, our other co-host, doesn't like sharing a bed, so me and Tom had to share a bed at this event. Whatever. I mean, at worst, I'm a good snuggler, right? But I saw Tom starting to fall asleep, but he was not under the covers.
It's true.
So I turned to Tom and I was like,
They would murder me.
Tom, are you not big on using the blankets when you sleep? He's like, not really. I don't even think he got finished as far as not being complete.
Yeah.
The first sound of N, I grabbed all of the blankets and just wrapped myself in them in this tight cocoon and boom, hit the bed immediately in like this cocoon state. I think Tom was like, not really, but sometimes, and I'm just already cocooned up in a blanket like, you're not getting one now.
Shades of a Tasmanian devil, really, where all of a sudden you just see like a spinning bit of wind and little bits of dust flying, and then all of a sudden he's cocooned inside of a blanket.
I actually did a somersault into it. It was one of my many agile moments where you see a guy on my side, he's like, wait a second, did he just backflip into that?
By the time you kicked Jordan in the face or whatever.
That was an accident
Windsor.
because
that was
Mike
Windsor.
Payne had started wrestling with me.
As you do.
Yeah. He does that. He's like, he tries to wrestle me, and then I would, wrestle him back. And he got caught off guard because I know how to wrestle. Mike, what are you doing?
Good times.
We have a lot of fun on the show, and it's kind of why we enjoy doing this as much as we do. And I look forward to more and more of this as we go. And, you know, love you guys. Never change. Keep coming on the show.
Right back at you, dude.
And, Tom, I love the backseat of your car and car karaoke with you.
Yep, that's the way to do it. This year you're gonna have to do car karaoke with the rest of the party, but
yeah. Well, Asian and Steve are usually a lot of fun because I make my really bad. Somebody gave me a Spotify account at one point, or introduced me to Spotify, which gave me the collected universe of music. So instead of like when we went to Ohio, you, me, and Mike together, and we listened to some of my really good music on my iPad, I find some of the worst stuff that people like. You know, like those, like, oh my god, I can't believe we like this lists, or Jason, do you really like this music? And you're really questioning, like, do you like this song, or do you just know this song? And I make lists like that. I basically play Russian roulette with people's opinions of me.
Hey, if they don't like your taste in music, then they're welcome to the asphalt.
Well, I mean, I'm not driving, so I'm introducing myself to the asphalt if I'm not careful.
Yeah.
So Steve did use his one veto pretty quickly on one song. I can't remember what it was the last time I drove with him.
Good lord!
Like everybody's allowed one veto. It's like nope, not this one. Nope. I think it might have been Britney Spears. Now I think about it.
How could he say no to Britney?
It's too bad.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was just sick of hearing "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time" because everybody was covering it last year. I think.
Was that the year that it was cool again?
Yeah.
Was that a thing that I just completely missed?
You're lucky. Anybody with an acoustic guitar started singing it. It was actually a little annoying.
Ugh.
Anyway, all right. So, anything else we wanted to reminisce before we get to business, Tom or Jay?
No, 200 more. Let's do it.
Let's
get to it.
Jay? No? Okay, cool. Jay never has anything extra to add. He's just happy. He's happy to be
You're talkative and Tom's talkative. I'm just here. I don't know why. Racial diversity, I don't know.
Racial diversity?
That's the real reason.
I think you're the only person I know with less of a tan than me. And I'm Irish. All right, that said. Team Worlds is an important part of the Worlds experience. I say this because there's 2 tournaments in which you can qualify. Whoops, and I'm gonna just be unprofessional now for a second.
It's okay. We didn't start this out with 10 minutes of time.
I was gonna say I was muted for the first half of this show. I don't think anybody has any expectations of me anymore. I've let everybody down on episode 200. You know what it is? I used to trust Google Hangouts so much, and I got so used to that trust where it's just click go and just do the episode. Now I have entrance music or opening music and now it's weird because Google Hangouts can hear the microphone, but they can't hear the microphone if I don't mute it. It's all my fault. It's all my fault for making things better and not adapting to it immediately. And not being more careful in general. As I talk my way through getting the Worlds thing open, because I'm just going to open up this championships. So, these guys probably know it, but at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. this Friday, Team World Championship starts. Now, I don't think it's starting right at 10 a.m. because the doors open at 10 a.m.
Oh.
That's
really?
Yeah. At least according to the PAX website, the doors open at 10
Is it registration 9, doors 10?
For the what you mean for PAX?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. All I've seen is doors open 10 a.m. on the website. So
all right.
It might be a race to the.
Perfect.
So anyway, I don't think the tournament starts at 10 a.m.
It wouldn't be the World's experience if it wasn't not starting at the posted time.
Yeah. I mean, never expect a tournament this big to start at time. First things first. On this page that I happen to be looking at and showing to the world, there's pre-registration forms. Fill them out. It'll help you get to this whole thing early and whatnot. All right, so World Championships. Team World Championships is the one we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about today. It's a $75 entry fee. That's $25 per person because it's a 3-man team. It's 300 points sealed for each member of the team. You're going to get 6 packs for your team, and you're going to build 3 different teams. That'll all be explained to you there. And in this event, the top 16 teams get qualified into Singles Worlds. Singles Worlds will be on the Saturday, again at 10 a.m. on December 1st. It's free if you've qualified. And I mean, like, the only way to get into this tournament is to be qualified. So you've already paid for it. And then there's a bunch of prizes. Just check this out on the site. The prizes, I think we've gone over this quite a bit. Outside of that, there is a World Championship Last Chance qualifier, which happens at 3 p.m., which will be generally after the cut of the Team Worlds. So if you're not in the top 16 of that, the top 48 players, time to get to work. I don't know if they're going to cut the top 32 because there is prizing, I believe, for the top 32 teams. Yeah. So they might just cut the top 16 and then the bottom of the top, like of the top 32, just go play in singles, guys. Sorry. I'm not sure how they're doing it. Anyway, so Team Worlds is a big part of this. And as a result, we need to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the things in regards to that. But you guys have heard what's good and sealed in this set. We know what's good and sealed in the set. And I think we've talked at length, even on the show when we talk about sealed, about the figures that will be good in a team sealed environment.
Can also take. Well, I was going to say we can also take this opportunity to give a little plug to our friends over at Critical Clicks, as they posted their rundown today of the what's hot garbage and what's hot fire from Battle World for your team constructed. So go check that out for more detail on the figs.
Absolutely. So with that, that's the hard knowledge. Let's talk about the soft skills or the hard skills to teach or to understand, or what doesn't get talked about enough. Because this is, unlike any other event, a team event. And something, even though we build teams of figures, we don't build teams or work in teams in this game. So understanding team dynamics is not a familiar case, or understanding how this format works in advance and what things you might want to talk about in advance of the tournament are things we're going to be spending a little bit of time talking about. So, Tom, you kind of have a better idea of the general introduction if you want to lead in.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that you introduced it well. I think that it's a valuable thing. A lot of time is spent talking about what do we like about this set, and what are the pieces that we really want to have on, and a lot of people come away with their own particular tastes and opinions, as people will, on the sorts of stuff that appeals to them, the sorts of teams they'd like to make. One of the first things that you run into a problem of is when you try to work as a team with your friends and compatriots, even if you've been doing team events with them before, even if you're a member of like a HeroClix team as such, it doesn't necessarily mean that you automatically have the communication down. And they don't necessarily give you a ton of time to build these teams. I don't know whether it's going to be 15 minutes this year. I don't know if it's going to be half an hour. But I want to give a little food for thought. Let's say it's 15 minutes, and that's standard for a sealed tournament. Because I was trying to figure out in my head, and then because I couldn't do it that way, I was trying to figure it out with a spreadsheet while I was having my dinner. What are the different permutations? Like, how many different team possibilities really are there? You open up 6 boosters. Each one has 5 figures. You've got 30 figures, and you got to make 3 teams. So obviously, how many different possible combinations there are is going to depend very much on what's in those boosters. But roughly, what are we looking at? Are we talking about, is there a few dozen possibilities? Is there a few hundred possibilities? Like, how many different possible combinations can you come up with? And frankly, if I had more time to work on it, I could probably math it out a little bit, but I didn't. I had dinner time. And so dinner
time is not number time, kids.
What I basically did was figured out, okay, so let's take a normal sealed event. 2 boosters. I take 2 boosters. I open them up. What might I expect to see? So I used a little random number generator to say, okay, give me a random SR, a random rare, 3 random uncommons, and 5 random rares. I did that for the Battle World. So I'm not going to go over it all. I mean, I remember my SR was Hulk, the Spider Hulk. My rare was Viv Vision, and I had an Alex Wilder and some other things. But I had 10 random figures. And said, okay, how many different teams could I build with this? And I basically just brute forced it through. I said, how many different teams could I build that include a Hulk? And so I counted that number. And then I said, let's see how many can I build with Viv Vision, except for the ones that have a Hulk, because I would have counted those already. And I just kind of worked my way down the line. How many different unique teams? And I was defining the team as anything that was 270 points to 300. So I've accounted for like a 10% variance in points. And for my particular polls, I counted 107 different teams. All right, so big number. 107 teams out of 5 figures. Let's say that this is an okay number to use as a rough average. Roughly 100 possibilities out of 2 boosters. Okay, so now, here we are at Team Worlds. Let's say that we sit down with your partners at Team Worlds, and they hand you your 6 boosters. And I grab my 2 boosters, and Jason grabs his 2 boosters, and Steve grabs his 2 boosters. And we're all like, you know what? I'm just going to open these 2 boosters and build the best team that I can. And that'll be my team. Each of us says that they're going to do that. Now, that would be, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of most, a rather short-sighted and silly way to build your team. Because you're not looking at the synchronicity of the contents of 6 packs and what could be made to work together. But even if you did that restricted version, which we would all agree is highly restricted, if each one of us could build possibly 100 different teams out of our 2 boosters, that means that for every of my 100 different teams, Jason could have 100 different teams as well. And Steve could have 100 different teams as well. That's 1 million different teams out of 6 boosters. Okay? And what I mean by that is there's 1 million unique combinations. And we haven't even started building with the contents of each other's boosters yet. So the math really blows up fast. And if you think you can sit there in 15 minutes and figure out, well, what does the math tell me to do? That's a losing battle. And I've always said that if you've got 15 minutes to build your team and you take 15 minutes to build your team, then you are ill prepared for this tournament. You're as ill prepared as you can be. If you get 15 minutes to build your team, you want to build that team in 7 to 8 minutes because you've got to figure out your maps. You want to figure out your strategies. You want to figure out what are you weak to. You got to figure out what are your strengths and how are they going to apply to other figures in the set. You have to start thinking globally about the tournament. You've got very little time to do it, and that's even after you've constructed the team in the first place. And as noted, 6 boosters creates a ton of possible combinations. It's a very large number. And so the reason why we're having this conversation now, and this is my long introduction, but it's in part because before you even sit down, before those boosters are in your hand, I think that there are certain conversations you have to have with your team members. So I'm going to say that one of the first things I think you need to figure out is how do you want to approach communicating about the teams? Do you want to have 3 people having a dialogue 3 ways, saying, "Ooh, how about this? How about this? How about this?" Or like moving things around the table and like creating little pods and combinations. Ooh, this could work with this, stuff like this. Does that work? Is that going to work for your particular energy, or are your minds adequately differentiated and yet adequately stubborn that you're just not going to be able to do it well that way? Would you rather have somebody be your principal builder and then have the other guys sort of as people to bounce their ideas off of? I know that when Jason and Mike and I did our thing a few years ago, it felt very collective, very much chatting together. Am I cutting out on you?
Cut out
My computer's being weird.
I think you're back.
Okay, I think I'm back too. So it felt very democratic and civil, as you'd expect from Canadians. I know that on the aforementioned Critical Clicks podcast today, the PJ said that when he builds with Edward and Maddie, that he said that he tends to be the kind of the main builder, and that they're there to kind of bounce ideas off of and come up with a different sort of constructive criticisms of the way that he's going. Sometimes you can work a couple different ways. And I was down there with, I had a unique experience at Rock Worlds because I was playing teamed with a couple guys who I really didn't know. I showed up alone and said, "Does anybody want to have a team member?" And Matt Esbrook was kind enough to lead me to the Puerto Rican national champ, who was staying with and teaming with a gentleman by, I believe, the name of Tyler, who was one of the fairly local guys down there for Rocktober. And we all worked together. We really didn't know each other. We were all affable. We all got along fine, but we didn't have that natural energy. And when we started talking about it, what I found is that, Felix and I started kind of taking some of the lead of moving pieces around, and Tyler would be there bouncing ideas off of us while we were moving things around. So all these different energies work. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. But you have to have that conversation first. You have to figure out, how does your particular energy going to work when you're building these teams? What's gonna suit this particular table of people best, and what are people going to live with? Are you happy to pick up a team that somebody else built for you? Not everyone is, but you have to think about it and have to talk about it.
Another thing worth mentioning, I kind of want to pick pile here. Sometimes, and this isn't often, but sometimes you get stuck with two good teams and a bad team. And you do have to, somebody has to be the one that designates themselves, I'll play with the pile, it's cool. Because sometimes you get, and this happened to us, myself, Tom, and Mike, when we went to Team Worlds as a team. One team jumped out. And I think we had to build like two separate occasions. And on both occasions, one team stuck out really good and almost like built itself. And Mike ended up with that. And both times as well, I think another team ended up just being one figure with support. And that was team Tom ended up with. But then this was Uncanny X-Men. After you built these teams, everything else was trash. And by trash, I mean not on that level. Like there wasn't anything super standout about what was left over, but there was something winnable in the last combination figures in each case. And I did in each occasion, each tournament that we played, because this was played in across two different tournaments, where it was a qualifying tournament and then the main tournament, and that was like we had two separate builds on each set. And both sets, even though I was playing with what a lot of people would look like and go, man, I wouldn't want to be playing what you're playing, I managed to squeak out a win in each case. And sometimes that win is just enough. So be aware of that.
Yeah, well, and I think what you're saying also is, that's another thing that you can talk about in advance. Like if anybody really just doesn't want to have the junk, then it's okay to be honest. I mean, you may get stuck with it anyway. These things happen, but bring that forward, Yeah.
Hey, Tom, I'll still play with the junk.
Well, and I think don't be afraid to express the opposite. Some people aren't comfortable with the awesome build. Some people aren't the ones who are going to say, yeah, give me that thing that's great. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there is some pressure there. If you're the person playing the best team, how you couldn't possibly lose with that team. Anyone who says that's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of some people, and some people just don't want it. Yeah. So there'll be those. Be honest. If you're the sort of person that doesn't want to get the point and click awesome super team because you don't want to feel like you're letting your buddies down if you happen to lose with the team that everyone expects to win, say that. It's important that gets out there.
Yeah. Be honest with each other is a big key. It's like, if you look at a team, like sometimes three teams built themselves, but then you look at it and go, I'm not comfortable with this team. You got to be outwards with that. And even if your buddies are like, it's pretty simple to play, and you're still feeling nervous, uncomfortable, be honest. Honesty is key in this, because that's part of being a team, being honest with each other and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. And this is why this another big, great dynamic of this whole system is, you have such a big pool of figures, as Tom said, to work with. So you can pull those teams out. And a set like Secret Wars Battle World, trust me, there might be more than what Tom is talking about in the factorial build of how many you can get. But you do have to know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and be honest about them, because if your team doesn't know that and they shovel you with, like, if my team tries to throw me the tent pole, I'm going to yell at all of you guys.
Yeah.
Because we all know I need too many things to focus on.
Yeah, you don't like playing tent poles. Doesn't mean you can't. And it's not a value judgment as well. Like, this is the other thing that's pretty implicit here. Saying to your buddies, I don't want to play the tent pole, doesn't mean like, I suck, I can't play the tent pole. You're not telling everybody that you're no good. Yeah. You're just saying that's not what you want. If you pull three great teams and they're all tent pole teams, guess what? If those are the best teams, you're probably going to play it. Yeah. But if you've got the option, it's good to express the fact that it's just not what you want to do. This is a game.
Yeah. Jay, you've played in a couple of these yourself. Anything you want to add to the conversation of the conversation?
Oh dear. Yikes. There could be some interesting things that you might want to consider. Like, I feel like in this set, it's probably going to be easier to make theme, but also there could also be situations where theme isn't necessarily as good as a non-themey option, depending on what you have. Like, let's say you have Morgan Le Fay, and you don't have a source of prob without breaking theme. That could be something worth considering, whereas some of teammates might automatically say, you must play theme, regardless of context and such things. I don't know. There can be certain times where you might not necessarily agree, but you have to be able to articulate properly why you think certain things should not go certain ways, or certain combos don't necessarily work as well as you want, that sort of thing. But you guys covered it, as is what happens when I go last. So,
well, and here's something I'm gonna put on you, because you may have you've got more experience with this. Improvised teams, or pickup groups, as it were. Me and Tom were talking about something where we're gonna have Steve in the room the day before the event, and we're gonna be able to chit chat with him about some things beforehand. But sometimes you meet a new friend that day, and you know, how do you get this stuff across as quick as possible before the packs are even open? Because I know you've had more experience with this than I have.
What? I've never. What? What do you mean?
You've done the pickup group on Teams, haven't you?
I've never.
Tom has.
Yeah, I've never gone to an event not knowing what my team was in advance. Like I've been to ones where I knew the people less well, but not like straight up going to an event not knowing who I'm playing with, sort of thing.
Okay, well, on that same level, before we get to Tom and the improvised team, because Tom, you said you guys had a bit of a natural energy to it.
Yeah.
When you, let's say it's not a bunch of guys that you hang out or know on a regular basis, or you know, most of your interactions are on the internet. Have you found yourself caught off guard with the conversations you've had to have?
Jay, right?
Yeah, Jay.
Thanks to Tom.
You know, because you said you've worked with teams you don't know necessarily that well.
I thought I heard you say Tom. Sorry.
I said before we get to Tom.
Okay. Right. It can be interesting because I played the one with Tom and Mike, and I've played with others. It can be a little more complicated when you're not necessarily the best of friends and you don't know each other's play styles. I feel like at that point you definitely want to be more vocal about what your sort of play style is and what you're gonna want to lean towards and want to definitely avoid. This set has a lot of stuff that can be very what's the word? Divisive. Like there can be, I don't know, like Black Panther is a team. Like I don't remember the last time we had a sealed event or a sealed tournament where there was a 250 point option. So that can definitely be, I mean, you kind of mentioned that with the 10 polls. So that can definitely be something you want to avoid. But I just feel like you need to make your personal preferences much more clear and kind of not be afraid to make your voice heard if you're feeling like you're not getting heard, sort of thing. But
so
pretty
Tom,
much it.
The speed of things on a pickup group. Were you, on top of, hey guys, we're all new together, let's talk it out first, or did you kind of have to build into the comfort? And would you say would you look back and say, hey, I should probably sat with these guys for at least the 2 minutes that we had and quickly hash this out?
No, I think we actually did a pretty good job of having a nice conversation before we got started. Like we all arrived there that day, and we weren't like super morose or serious about it, but our game faces were on and we were ready to play, and so we got to conversing. I mean, obviously it helps that they were both great guys, but I think that there are a lot of great people in this game. So I think that there are a lot of times if you're playing a pickup style thing, or even if you're just hooked up with people that you don't know as well, I think there's a pretty good chance you'll be paired with good dudes and dudettes, because that's the game, man. I think in our case, I feel like I kind of took the role on of the person who started the conversation. I wouldn't say that I had the most words in it, but I think I prompted the, hey, this is exciting. Thanks so much for having me on your team. And so, how long have you been playing? Where do you come from? What sort of things do you like to play? And so we started out talking more generally about, what we like about the game and the types of things that we like to do, because that stuff will filter into the sealed thing, but it's not quite as formal as sort of say, okay, guys, so we know that there are a lot of tentpoles in this set. So what do you think about playing tentpoles in this set? Or, you don't have to be banal about it. You can be, you can be organic, and just sort of say, what sort of things do you like? How long have you been playing? What's your comfort zone? What do you think of the set? Another thing that we didn't necessarily talk a lot about, but it's important and sealed, especially in this setting where you're all kind of participating together in sealed. It's nice to know who knows a lot about the set. It's if there happens to be one person in the room that knows the set really well, it would make sense for them to be maybe one of your core builders. Like if I know that Jay's not playing this year, but if Jay were on your team, Jay is a font of knowledge. He knows the sets generally better than anyone else I know. So if I'm team with Jay, I'm inclined to say, Jay, why don't you make some teams? Because you're going to pick out the things like that I would pick out eventually, probably, but not at the kind of speed where you're like, oh, this goes well with this, and then this pairs nicely because the only thing this guy's really missing is we need good mastermind fodder for this person, and this person can be both a taxi and be mastermind fodder because they've got good reduction or whatever. The point being, if somebody knows the set well, then that's going to help, and it's good to bring that up too. So. I think that's the context. It maybe sounds manipulative when you put it that way, but if you're meeting up with people that you don't necessarily know and playing with people you don't have as much experience with, it's often good to start things out by just getting a sense of where they're at in the game with the set, where their comfort level is with the day, and it'll also give you a chance to see how much they want to talk about it. Because if they're being very closed out, or if they don't naturally socialize well with people that they don't know well, then they're probably not going to be the sort of people that are going to really take a commanding lead in the team discussion period, because that's just not their comfort level. And you can kind of suss that out without them having to say, I don't feel like I have a lot to say, because you can piece that together, feel the energy, and then try to fill in the gaps. If it seems like somebody needs to be a leader, then try to be that leader. If it seems like somebody else is going into leadership role, great. Water flows, man. Be water.
I actually have a cute little image I got from a webcomic I used to read, and it's got a guy holding the conch. I have the conch. I will speak. Use your voice, your outdoor voice if you have to, or grab or grab a conch shell, whatever you need.
Right.
All right. On that note, really looking forward to the event, and I have been rereading a lot of stuff in the Secret Wars. Hey, just a heads up, Tom. Big Boss Hill is 85 points, eh?
I thought she was playable. What a difference that 20 points makes.
When we get to the table, you have your calculator out. I'm going to remind you, or I'm going to add 20 points to your team if you try to put her on your team.
It's too bad.
Looking forward to having Steve on mine and Tom's team.
Yep,
sure we're going to have
100%.
a conversation with him. But he's a pretty easygoing guy, but I don't want him to be too easygoing for us because we need big personalities with the personalities we got on our team.
I think we're pretty easygoing.
On the plus side, I don't have to smack Mike's hand away from all the super rares, so there's that going for us.
Oh, nonsense! You have to smack my hand away.
It just happens that way so many times. It's just like Mike is all of a sudden just all the super rares gravitate towards his team. It's like yes, okay, it's a good team.
He gets excited, but I mean that's another thing that it's it's good to know is that if you get excited about a team, you should probably play that team, even if it's not the best one. I mean, like if sometimes it can go in contrast to what you were saying too. It's like I don't like tentpoles, and then you pull a team that's like just a team that you feel super jazzed about, and it's a tentpole team. That's fine too. You're not held to what you said earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I remember last year for Team Worlds, I ended up building a team that was all commons, except for like one uncommon, I think, and it was a Wasp that was on my sideline. Otherwise, it was just an Avengers theme team with like 6 dudes on it because everything was 50 points in Avengers Defenders 4. It was super easy to build.
All right, so do you guys think that it matters who's your player A, B, or C?
Oh, A, B, or C is the biggest illusion in the world.
Agreed. Jay, do you feel differently? Do you think this is a sacrosanct thing?
No, no.
Okay, here's exactly how this conversation happens, okay? The 3 of you get together. It's like, okay, who's our A, who's our B, who's our C? And then person person 1 on your team, doesn't matter the A, B, or C, person 1's going to be like, you know what? A lot of teams are going to put their really good players in their A, so I think we should actually put one of our worst players in the A so that they get an easy win, whatever. Then our B is our best, and our C is our second best. That way we're just going to get easy wins on that. Wrong, because somebody else had that conversation. Even better. So all you're going to get is all the worst players in A's. Right?
Hey, if you sit down and anyone says that, the right answer is, why don't you figure out where you want everyone to go?
Yeah. You want to know how you figure out who's your A, B, and C? Who doesn't mind doing the paperwork?
Correct.
That's
that's
the
right answer. Yes.
Player A is who doesn't mind doing the paperwork. Player C, who doesn't mind moving to the third table.
That's right. Yeah.
Because navigating the C table is always the worst.
That's true.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about table C, but it's always the worst one to navigate.
Well, it
was actually the best one at the World Cup, funnily enough, I think.
Well, maybe. It was the next room. It didn't have the same logical layout necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so honestly, when it comes to the A, B, or C, who doesn't mind filling in the team points? That's your A. That's the only consideration you have to take.
Correct.
Literally. If you
are
put any
correct.
more thought into it than that, you are wasting valuable build time.
All right, so do we want to put our money where our mouth is then?
What, and say who is our A, B, and C?
No. We've been talking about the things you talk about before you build a team. So should we talk a little before we build a team? Does everyone know what's happening next year?
Nobody in the world knows what's happening next. So
At
originally,
least of all us.
All 3 of us were going to buy 2 packs of Secret Wars Battle World, and then we were going to do a mock team sealed, because I don't think we've done enough of those on this channel. We've done plenty, but doesn't matter. You're getting another one.
We've never done it on the Metal Lab.
Yeah, we've never done it on the Metal Lab, and that's the important part here. So you guys get to watch me open up Notepad++ to keep track of all the figures. Actually, what I should use is HC Realms, in hindsight.
But what if we pull Big Boss Hill?
Anyway, that won't matter, because that's just to keep track of things. I got Notepad++ open anyway.
Just add 4 leg extensions to your team, and then you're good.
You're good.
Oh, I wish we could play Soulman.
Or a 2 Thugs or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, I couldn't get 2 packs, but Tom bought 4.
Sure did. Here they are.
Tom bought 4 packs of Secret World. Jay bought 2 packs of Secret World, Battle World, Secret Wars Battle World. I keep calling it Secret World, and that's an MMO.
Battle Wars.
Oh man!
All right.
So we are going to open these 6 packs, and we are going we're going to build teams with these 6 packs. We're going to set ourselves a timer once we're all set up and got track of everything that's in there.
Yes.
So,
but before we do you want to have any team pre-talk?
Yeah, let's do our pre-talk. So as we discussed already, I don't mind playing the junk. I'm cool with the junk. If we end up with a junk team, throw myself on that grenade now, but I don't want to. I'm hoping we get 3 decent teams anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel comfortable not having as active a role in the team building unless you really want me to. In part because, as I've already mentioned, I feel like Jay knows this set better than me by a long shot. I think probably you, Jason, probably know the set better than me as well. And I'm happy to kind of throw in my 2 cents here or there, but in this particular setting, I know that you guys are good builders and you're cerebral people. I don't mind letting you do a lot of the heavy lifting unless you really don't want to. But that would be my thought. As far as a sort of, if we're gonna have a core builder thing, then I would say it's either both of you or one of you, but I don't think it should be me.
All right, Jay, any input before we get started?
I think I know the combinations that could work okay, but I don't know about building teams for other people necessarily. I could throw out ideas, but I know you're going to play the weird teams. Tom is more variable. I don't know.
Well, I think that we just want to we want to build 3 teams. I think that I like the idea, and this is also something disagree with me if you want, because I know some people don't go this way. Some people look at the table and say, "What do I want to play?" Mm-hmm. I certainly am of the opinion, what seems like it's the best thing to get played and then figure out who does it later. But I don't know. What do you think? Your face indicates you might disagree, Jay.
I mean, I just more pick out the good. I pick out the good pieces and then throw away the junk for the time being, and then kind of play around with the possibilities. I don't know that any specific combinations are necessarily going to make their way to being automatically apparent, depending on how the polls go.
It's
hard to say. There's a lot of low point filler in the set too, so like there could be big differences even with if you want to play an Alex Wilder or a Tony Stark Inventor sort of thing. I don't know. It's hard to.
I do think the prob is fairly rich, though. It is a tentpole heavy set as they go, certainly as compared to things like Avengers, Defenders War, Uncanny X-Men.
I think that factorial number gets really big for this set.
Right, and as a result, like if you've got a prob, I think your first thought is how is this servicing my best tentpole, unless you just happen to not pull any. But I think that it seems unlikely that you're not going to get something of the tune of a Regent or a Witch Queen or a Black Panther or I don't know. There are
Maestro is damn effective for his point.
Yeah, the uncommon slot's super potent in this set. That's why I really like it as a sealed set. Is there's a lot of power in uncommon.
Yeah, I think most of the time you can basically disregard rares. Like, not a lot of them are just very good. Like, they're probably 1 and 2 that I can't think of off the top of my head. But otherwise, like, I don't even think you think about rares.
Hey, Tom,
yeah, it's a bit of a different. Yeah, go ahead.
Ever wonder why me and Jay have never been on the same team? That word disregard.
Never disregard anything.
Never in sealed. In sealed, there's no such thing as the word disregard. It's all there.
So yeah, like I'm pretty comfortable to play whatever. But as far as I'm happy to let you guys start the conversation about what should be played, and
I'm sure it'll all come naturally once we really start getting this thing going. In fact, I'm even do a screen share for you guys to get a good look at it. I mean, the fans are gonna have a little bit of a hard time, but that's fine. I think we'll be good. I just hope it doesn't flicker again. I hate when it flickers.
Do you have the ability to share with the fans? You have the ability to share with the fans, don't you?
I have the ability to share it exclusively with the fans, and I can also do it with us. Give me a second. Let's see if this works.
That's fine. You do it with the fans. I've got Realms open. I've got my notepad open. I can keep track. Also, I'm going to have 4 of the 6 boosters in front of me, so that helps.
Okay, no, we're good. We're good. It's not going to do that flicker thing it did the last time.
Okay,
cool.
Excellent.
All right. So where do we want to start with Jay's packs, Jason's packs, or Tom's packs?
I mean, I don't really own packs in this, so. Crack a pack. Somebody crack a pack.
I'm gonna go first. Let's make it exciting. I'll do 2 packs. We'll say they're Jay's or Jason's, and then Jay will do 2 packs, then I'll do.
One thing worth noting is if we were all in the same room, there would have been some attempt at a physics-based build of the packs itself, because that's actually the first competition that happens before Team Sealed is the tower building with packs. Something worth mentioning. Anyway.
So this is, to my knowledge, one of the first ever Metal Lab unboxings. So this is really exciting. So we're starting out with Jason, and Jason pulled for us Gunslinger. Excellent work, Jason. So far,
that sounds like my pack so far.
I think I see where this is going. This appears to be a Sheriff Steve Rogers.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And then we have a Black Widow, a Tony Stark Inventor, and a rare Iron Man.
Oh, God, we got this pack, eh?
The Valley is well represented with our first pack. That is, as a reminder, we've got Tony Stark Inventor, and we can either do him as he is, we can add the trait to turn him into Iron Man, or we can have an Iron Man on the team. Sheriff Steve Rogers, Black Widow, and a Gunslinger. So we start things out with a visit to the Valley. And I will open up Jason's second pack here, and then I'll start unpacking these while you add them to the thing there.
Yep.
So yeah, Gunslinger, Sheriff, great. So Jason attempts to seal the deal here, a little seal joke there, by doubling down on the Valley. Let's see if we can get 2 Valley packs. That's what we got in the Team Worlds I played at Rocktober. I got this pack twice, this exact pack twice. So let's see what he has put this time. Oh, nope, he's already broken it by pulling a World Breaker. Promising.
Ooh, that sounds like me.
Witch Queen LaFay.
I like it. That doesn't sound like me.
Yeah, we're off to a good start. We have also Crossbones. If we want to keep, he's Valley, right?
He's Valley, yeah.
Okay, great. We have Stick, the always useful Stick, and we have the
Often underrated.
Yeah, and
never ignore Molly. She was
yes, the often underrated Molly Hayes.
If
So yes,
anybody's underrating Molly Hayes, they need to come talk to me.
right? World Breaker, Witch Queen LeFay, Crossbones, Stick, and Molly Hayes are the contents of Booster the Second. I'm going to pop these out here, and Jay, what are you packing over there?
Okay.
I mean, what's in your HeroClix bag?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about disappointments. Oh, I love you.
We have a Gunslinger.
Nice.
We have a Molly Hayes. Oh my God, 2 of them.
OP
double.
Crystar.
Crystar, that's a uncommon. Yep.
Uncommon, right? Yep.
Yeah. Another Steampunk Iron Man. That's terrible.
Hey, not bad. Hey, because
No,
one
it's
of
not
them,
bad.
Iron.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Tony can turn into one of them.
And we have the Baron Spider-Man. So that's the uncommon.
Uncommon
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
There's some playable stuff in here.
Yeah, I agree. Are you up to speed there, Jason?
Yep.
All right.
We have Common Iron Man with TK. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
And sitting right next to him, we have Tony Stark Inventor.
Coke.
And
Two of those, and two
Now we're
rare.
cooking with gas.
Sorry. what was that,
The
Jay?
rare is Spiderling.
Okay, well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a what?
I said that's a shame.
I'm not
That's
excited by
not
it. But
true. She's decent. For
All right.
filler, she's fine. Generic Thor and Ultimate Thor.
And okay, well, there we go. That pack kind of turned itself around on us.
Mhm.
I would play the Spiderling. And ask you for your opinion.
All right, how you doing there, Jay?
So we don't have
Jason?
much for Weird World combos so far. That's unfortunate.
Not so far. Still two packs to go,
we're,
though.
We're good. That was Iron Man, Tony Stark, Spiderling, Thor, Ultimate Thor.
You bet.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We now move on to the Tom packs here. Let's see what we can pull out of the Metal Lab first ever unboxing, or at least there haven't been a lot of them, so Okay, I can see a certain red, white, and blue peeking out, and it would appear to be the uncommon Captain America of the
That's
Shipping
very
Variety.
good.
Yep, good piece. Outrider, who I love as tie-up.
Oh.
We have a Captain Marvel.
That was
Sorry.
Agamotto.
Sorry, buddy. Although it's going to turn on itself a little bit around here. We've got the common Spider-Man. Everyone loves that. I've got some junk here. It looks like Prime Thanos. No good. Who wants that?
You got Canadian herpes.
Oh, that's perfect.
So, yep, some Prime Thanos action there. Almost as close to a must-play as you get, in my opinion.
Yep.
And so, yeah, Captain Marvel, Prime Thanos, common Spider-Man, Outrider, and an uncommon Captain America with the glowing shield.
Okay,
And-
so one more time. Uncommon Captain America, Outrider, Captain Marvel, that's the regular non-prime,
Yep.
Spider-Man, and Prime Thanos.
You bet.
Okay.
All right, and let us open the final booster of the day and of the team sealed thing. I suck at opening
Sealed shtick.
things. Let's see what's in here. All right. So the first thing out is not promising. It's a Man-Thing Commander, not just any Man-Thing, but the commander of them. I don't think
things.
Don't think he's making the team. We've also got a Thoris, who is promising.
Yeah, that's promising.
Yep. We've got Clara Prast, who's decent. I like her. We have Archon, who is Weird World, but unfortunately not the best. And we have another Crossbones to add to our growing Crossbones collection.
Okay.
So a Man-Thing Commander, a Thoris, Clara Prast, Archon, and Crossbones.
So we're basically building one team at this point because two teams basically, or at least because Witch Queen is 150, Thanos is 175. So those teams are essentially half done. So we really only need to focus on the last one, which is the Jason junk, I guess.
Easy there.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that's like it's junk, because the first thing I think of when I think of the last one is the Valley. We've got a lot of Valley, and
You can-
I like named theme.
I also like the idea of doubling up on the 80-point Iron Man on that team, backing him up with the Crossbones for some enhancement, because he starts with enhancement.
You see, I like the idea of doubling them up, but doing it by having one on the board and one Tony Stark Inventor, because Tony Stark Inventor can be your Perplex and your Prob, and then
Iron Man.
Exactly. And also a bit of tie-up because I mean, if they attack him, he's going to turn into Iron Man. If they don't attack him, then he's annoying. I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
I don't feel like the Valley is so amazing that it necessarily needs to be built. I just feel like the attackers the team has aren't necessarily quite
have a Sheriff
enough.
Steve Rogers in here. So like double up the Iron Man, Sheriff Steve Rogers is next adjacent to him. You got the PD to tee off, even though they've only got a 4 range, they're more likely to be charging. They still have the ability to get extra damage or to be protected from higher or raising attacks and everything like that.
Well, I mean, let's shift gears a little bit into you. I think you're right, Jay. I think you've got a Witch Queen and you've got a Thanos Prime.
Yeah.
What do we do?
What do we build with Thanos? Because there's so many possibilities. Like
Right.
you could do a Valley team with Thanos. So
Also an option.
oh my
And
god,
I think we could end up with 2 Valley teams when we include the one with Thanos as well.
yeah.
'Cause I
Whatever
think-
happens, I think you definitely have to give at least one enhancement to Thanos because 4 damage doesn't one-shot anything in the set. So
Thoris will give both the PD and the enhancement, and
That's
that's
right.
only 30 points,
Yep.
which is enough to die and become Thanos fodder if it ever gets there.
And as far as dying goes, I think the Molly Hayes are worst case scenario, just really good mastermind fodder for Witch Queen because they have decently long dials with toughness all the way through.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, yeah.
Do we have
Molly Hayes can take she can physically take, if you include her toughness, 6 damage.
Do we have any prop?
Stick is the closest thing I think we have to act, other than the Witch Queen and Thanos, who are going to be on their own teams. We have Prob Light from Stick.
And Thoris potentially.
Thoris if something dies. Yeah.
All right. But do we want to play Witch Queen at 100 or 150?
No, 150 all the
I think
way.
she's
Just
gotta
as
go
long as you
150.
can.
So you're
I
not
just-
no prob then.
Well, does she
Unless-
start with Prob 150?
Unless
Or
you can
am I
do.
missing that?
Is there a chance you can do theme with her?
Oh, she
Well-
start with the Prob. My bad.
Mystical and Ruler might be.
Well, could you do Weird World theme? Is essentially.
We
well,
could.
Archon 65. What's
Chris
our?
Star's
66.
What a dumb number.
Yeah, it's really obnoxious. But if at Chris Star we have 225, if we go full points, and then we can throw on the Man Thing Commander.
Oh.
The Man Thing Commander's got late dial regen.
Well, I guess Archon is 60, not 65.
I think Archon Crystar is a better option.
Archon Crystar and Witch Queen LeFay, I believe, is 296.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
Yeah,
Archon's
but that's
60, so it's
also
285.
masterminding to Crystar is theoretically really good because you can kind of evaluate the attack roll before you choose to mastermind onto it.
is that how that works?
Well, because the dude that you mastermind to actually becomes the target of the attack. Now.
Yes, that's true.
So that's decent.
Yeah.
That is a good. I like that. You got your theme prob.
Yep.
You have a couple of decent attackers if Witch Queen goes down early or if something goes wrong. Because I think Archon is pretty potent for
Yeah.
60 points as far as attack.
I mean, you're not playing the Man Thing Commander over him.
No, you're not.
So
I agree.
Archon, Crystar, and
also with theme, you could theoretically do a map that benefits or minimizes the damage that Archon straight can do.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and again, like that prob is so instrumental in keeping her with that power. You don't want
if
to.
there was an Alex Wilder, oh man.
we're so
I know.
close to actually being able to hold on. Oh, I think we're missing one Runaways to be able to do a Runaways theme team with Thanos.
That wait, how? That's not a Battle World keyword.
It's not a battle world. My bad. Never mind.
But you're right. Oh, and you could do the Valley. You're right. That's what you meant. I thought you meant like get a bunch of Valley characters, but you're right. Thanos as part of the Valley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you could protect Thanos with Sheriff Steve Rogers. That's 225 if you go full point Thanos, which I would usually do.
Yeah, and Tony Stark Inventor has decent mobility if you want to just get that free kill off
Tony
with
Stark's
Thanos.
a great body block because you can put him in front of Thanos so you can't draw a line of fire to him as well.
He's also got Perplex. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that are good about
There's
him.
a lot of things going in his favor.
How many of them of the Tony Starks get the optional trait though?
What's that?
How many of the Tony Starks use the optional trait to get
Well,
the Iron
We
Man
have-
is the question.
We have two, right? So what's the point total so far? Sheriff Steve plus Thanos is
225.
plus Tony Stark at 30 would be
Would be
255.
255, yep.
So
It would be 275 if we added the Iron Man trait.
And then you could fill it in with the gunslinger?
Yeah,
at
that's
20?
the option there.
Yep.
Not a bad option.
Is there a better combination for playing with Thanos?
Well, I like Molly, but she doesn't die very well.
We could go Battleworld Asgard with Thanos.
Oh, just him and Ultimate Thor?
Well, and Thorus, like Ultimate Thor at 100 and Thor,
Yeah, 'cause
no.
the Ultimate Thor at 100, you could zip him to Thorus.
Thorus is not, it wouldn't work. 175 plus 100 plus 30, so you're over
Ugh,
point.
that's
yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah, I'm not a big. I don't know if I prefer the Thor at the lower or the.
You know what
lower.
I prefer on the Valley actually is, even though I like Tony Stark Inventor turning into Iron Man, I think you're better off Tony Stark Inventor pure, Steve Rogers Crossbones and Thanos.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, because you really do need that enhancement, and then
Yeah.
Perplex can be otherwise used.
Perplexing
Yeah,
up to the attack, and then once you really start to kill things, Thanos starts to really
be
take his
self-reliant.
stats off. He's got himself covered after that. So
Yeah,
Yeah, once you're up to a 6 damage, 12 attack with Perplex, I think you're fine.
yeah.
it's a good team.
Do any of them have? Does Crossbones have stealth? I always have.
Only
No,
back
he
in
gets
the-
it later. Thanos gets it traded. Otherwise, not much stuff
I was
there.
just looking at ways of blocking line of fire to Thanos pretty hard.
They're still
whenever
not bad
he
body
could.
blocks because he
Yeah.
does have like both Crossbones and Tony Stark start on sidestep, so they
Yeah.
both have the ability to have Thanos kind of running shot in front of them, take a shot, and then they both step up and body block.
Yeah, and then as long as what's his name, Crossbones isn't being attacked by a weird world and happens to be in some hindering, he's got a hard target to have to deal with it for. And even if he doesn't have those for 40 points, I'd rather him get hit than my 175 point Thanos.
Well, ESD, man, and they're not, as long as they're next to Steve Rogers, they're not modifying, and they've got
Yeah.
to face a 19D. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 295. Okay.
That seems good.
Yeah. So we drop Sheriff, Steve Rogers, the Tony Stark, Crossbones, and Thanos off the list. So this leaves the quote unquote, like there's still really potent teams left in this stack of things here. Like I'm leaning towards doubling up on the Iron Man or doing an Iron Man with a Tony Stark with the Iron Man on the sideline and kind of wrapping up with another Valley team. But I without the steer of Steve Rogers, I'm less comfortable with it, to be honest.
I agree.
But the Captain Marvel is Battleworld Spider Island with the uncommon Spider-Man, who I believe is a Baron of that Spider Island.
Yes, he is.
That's
Captain Marvel does kind of suck though. Like I really
she's
don't
not
like
great.
her.
I don't disagree on
Without Prob, I wouldn't play her.
The thing that I like, we're kind of at the junk stage now. Like it's not really junk, but it's the leftover stage.
Mhm.
And when we're at the leftover stage, if you can build name theme with your leftovers, then at nothing else, Prob might ride you out.
And that's why I'm kind of leaning towards that direction of the Valley, because you get the Iron Man for. I mean, even if I double up on the Iron Man, that's 2 Iron Mans, 160 plus 40 for the Crossbones. That's 200. I put another 30 on there. I got the Iron or the Tony Stark to join on that, and then I can add in the
Gunslinger and Black Widow. That's exactly 300.
Yeah, and that's a 300 point Valley team with 5 probs, and 2 Iron Mans.
Yeah, you've got a Black Widow tie-up who's pretty good. The Gunslinger can be there to take the theme probs.
Yep.
You've got the
Or
Crossbones
surprisingly, a ranged
enhancement.
combat expert.
Having some different ideas.
Jay,
I don't know.
stop your whining. This is my team.
No. Thanks. No, by all means, Jay. I think that we've got time on the clock. What's
I
your?
feel like there's some potential with Ultimate Thor and the TK Iron Man. Theoretically, you have a lot of random perplex still between the Spider-Man and the leftover Tony Stark inventors. There's a lot of good, just 1 or 2 good attackers with a pit crew sort of team here.
But this is also like if we go with the Valley, we have prob. Our hits are more likely to stick, or their hits are less likely to stick. Whereas with with what you're suggesting, we're giving up the idea of prob because there's no prob here except for maybe Thorus. So I'm already behind on points on using Thorus, and that's assuming Thorus lives long enough to be able to use prob. So Like nothing
Yeah,
is going to stick with this team.
I get that. I don't know. I'm not sold on the secondary Valley team as much. I don't know, but it is your team, so feel free.
But I mean, like, I've seen this Iron Man in action. I've also seen the showdown start to really snowball against opponents, and both in conjunction are really good. And the fact is, this Iron Man, if he does get that charge off, and then he quakes, he knocks a guy back a number of squares. If you've done the 4 damage with it, even if there's nobody adjacent to him, he can shoot a guy that he hasn't attacked this turn. That's a potential 8 damage across 2 targets.
Yep, and 2 chances to roll the Valley trait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's not bad. If nothing else, like I said, when you're kind of on your leftovers anyway, then I do like the fact that we're stacking up a lot of prob, a lot of potential for outwit, since the Iron Mans both push onto it, and so does Tony Stark, if you don't want the perplex, and enhancement.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also hear where you're coming from, Jay, but it feels more like Ultimate Thor, Iron Man, and others are kind of Hail Marrying and hoping to get lucky, whereas the Valley's kind of doing the opposite. It's tight formation, trying to be kind of smart play and take the midfield and hope that the probs hold long enough for you to get an edge.
Yeah, and you you have more map control with the Valley team as well, which means you're more likely to be able to choose a more ideal map for this team, which is, even though there's a lot of range-based figures in this, a tighter quarters underground or
for sure, yeah. I get where you're coming from. I just I don't think it's ever a bad idea to throw teams out or ideas out there.
No, I think
especially when this is of absolutely no consequence.
But it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
It feels like it has consequence.
It's almost like I'm playing HeroClix. I don't even know what that is.
I wonder how many people are at home, either now or in the future, yelling at the screen because they disagree with us so much. And that's the great thing about it, is that like people choose their favorites. I think that sometimes we also lean the direction that we prefer. We've managed to make 3 name theme teams. Yeah. And I think that we are all pretty heavy theme players for the most part. So we kind of found our way into the thing that we go to naturally. I wonder how many people are out there going, what kind of crazy person isn't putting 2 enhancers next to Thanos,
Or, Capular HeroClix suggests putting Spider-Man with Spider-Ling. It's a good combination. That's not wrong.
Yeah. It was a thought I had, yeah.
It's also still leftover from the 3 teams we've built.
So
Spider-Ling, Spider-Man, and that Captain Marvel are still another potential team.
So let's play this through to its conclusion. Let's say that those are our 3 teams. Mm-hmm. Team number 1 is a Weird World themed team consisting of Crystar, Archon, and Full Point Witch Queen LeFay. Team number 2 is a Valley themed team with Thanos taking the Valley keyword, along with Tony Stark Inventor, Sheriff Steve Rogers, and Crossbones. And the third one is a Valley themed team consisting of double Iron Men, a Tony Stark Inventor, a Black Widow, the Gunslinger, and Crossbones. Who wants to play what?
I was going to say the more formation-based, tight quarters, Iron Man Valley team is probably going to be the one I gravitate towards myself.
I can't disagree.
Yeah, honestly, I think for me the hard sell is Witch Queen LeFay.
I feel like you could play Witch Queen insanely well with all the options she has.
I feel like I could play it well. I honestly think you would play it better though. I think that you just have that again off the top of your head better than I do.
I feel like I'm also more
remember the Weird World trait.
Yeah, and also like it's kind of pick a power ish, and I don't feel like you have as much with experience with that. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think that it's funny because I also like the Third Valley team. I think Jason and I both lean towards that. But I'm happy to take whatever's left. So I mean,
I have played Thanos before, so I wouldn't mind. I don't really care. I guess it's really more what you prefer at this point, because I'm kind of okay with either.
I think if I was left, I would say Jason, if you like the Third Valley team, I would say go for it, and I would say Jay, I think you would do better with the Witch Queen LeFay team. So I would suggest you take that, and I could do the Thanos with support.
I feel like that plays out pretty nicely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right. So we got there. And honestly, that third part is actually a little bit harder than it looks. We're all Canadian and agreeable. So
it helps.
It helps a lot. We also know each other fairly well. So knowing our psychology on the teams, and I'm sure Jay recognized how aggressively I built that last Valley team. Like, no, this is the thing. He was like, yeah, Jay, play it. You're a psychopath. Go.
Have fun.
You go.
But the real question is, out of all this experimenting, who's our A, B, and C?
Oh, well. Who likes
Is that the
bookkeeping?
most important question? I
Wait.
think it is.
Jay, you like to judge and organize tournaments, right?
Oh, God. Why?
Well, because that involves a lot of paperwork.
Oh, I'm going to be
Congratulations,
A?
player.
Oh, sure.
Also,
You're
I think Jay's team is the likeliest one to either win completely or get wiped. So I think he'll be out soonest. So he'll be in the best position to do the paperwork.
Absolutely. In fact, he'll be on our games by the time we're done. He'll know when we're done from a distance, and he like all of a sudden, Jay's like, "How did you do, Jay? Give me a second. Did you see what I just played?" That's why Jay should be the A player.
Sure, why not?
Because
Right,
he'll
good fun,
aggressively
dudes.
get that done.
Good
Awesome.
fun.
That was a good old time. All right. On that note, it's time to go to questions. Before we do that, I want to take a second. 200 episodes into the Metal Lab. We've been thanking you ever since we introduced you. Thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. And to say if there's anything to say at most, it's your patron hangout's going to be December 8th. I tried to come up with something that was going to work at Worlds, and nothing that I could come up with didn't involve me drinking that evening and making a fool of myself. And I already drink enough at the patron hangouts, so goodness knows what kind of condition I'm going to be in on the Sunday, or what our driving situation is going to be on the Sunday. So nope, not going to do it. Not going to try to run it on Worlds. We're going to do it the next weekend, which will be December 9th. That's Sunday, December 9th, 9:30 p.m. And that's for any valuation of the patrons. If you want to get in on that and be paid for it, you want to get that before the 1st of December. So it's leading into this weekend. $1, as low as $1, as high as whatever gets in on that. $10 a month patrons get our patron action tokens. The most recent ones are on their way in the mail. I have ordered them and paid for them, so that should be good. And we're 200 episodes in. You guys have been helping keep that, and helping me buy these guys battle royales when we get to major events, and occasionally helping Tom buy packs. I'm actually not sure if Tom's ever accepted a single payment I sent him.
I don't even get notifications, so I probably don't know they're happening.
Tom's got a PayPal. It's like $300. He's like, "What? Where did all this come from?" I don't
Yes.
understand.
It's amazingly for a person who works with numbers all day. I'm remarkably technically adept.
Well, we'll teach you. We'll teach you one day, Tom. There's like 5 things you need to know about the internet and how to access them, and it'll be fine. One of them is your WhatsApp. No, but you've been good about that.
Also,
Anyway.
Jay, just to clarify, Jay, in your 2 packs, what was your rare, super rare breakdown?
2 rares.
Yeah, I got 1 super rare and 3 rares. So if this means anything, it means our pulls at Worlds are just gonna be dynamite.
We also got 2 packs that are too similar, I think, to see repeat with the same rare. So
Oh, I just mean that we got it coming now. We opened up some lack of rare stuff. So I expect Black Panthers, I expect Regents, I expect all kinds of things.
And Tom, in all of our mocks, that Witch Queen Lefay keeps showing up.
Yeah, that's fair. So the one time it won't show up will be at Words.
Exactly. So we've gotten so used to building with it, we gotta forget it now. We just gotta forget that building with it is even an option going into that.
Concur.
All right. Before we get into our questions, I got a little treat that I made for our friend, Mr. Chris Stockhouse. He sent us a stack of photos that he'd taken. By stack, I mean an internet stack. What is an internet stack?
An e-stack?
I don't know. He sent us a bunch of photos that he's taken with us in the wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I made it into a little collage. So,
Oh my god. Do we actually get to see this one?
I'm going to screen share for you guys because...
Good.
So
Nice.
this is Tom meeting up with
Oh,
Jay.
poor Mike.
Meeting up
Oh,
with
that's
Mike.
the best.
Honestly, Mike's was even smaller than this. The resolution was so tiny. And it was...
That's amazing.
and then here's Chris with Tom, when Tom all of a sudden showed up in Michigan and had to explain to the guy at Customs he's going to be here for like 3 hours with $20.
I have what I needed.
And this is a picture of myself and Chris very recently taken from a screenshot from our video. I don't know if it ever ended up going up, but we did the Kit Kat challenge, the Kit Kat comparison, where he brought an American Kit Kat, I brought a Canadian Kit Kat, and we compared. And the Canadian one's just a little less sweet.
Has he ever actually been on the Metal Lab?
He's right here, right?
Like, it's funny because of he really is the unofficial extra member. So
He is.
who knows?
I think there's always been a thing with him and Mondays where he can't quite make it to the show, to be on the show. I know, I think I've talked to him about this. I had this conversation with him because you had mentioned when you went down to Eternal Games and all of a sudden met him that he would have been a good addition to the show.
For sure.
And I know I had the conversation with him at one point. So yeah, Chris shared that with the lot of us. We also have in the Facebook one Mr. Mike White, who wants to say he's very sad to be stuck on set tonight and missing the trip down memory lane. Thanks to everyone who has supported the show, and Jay for including me. You're welcome. I think I'm the Jay he's talking about. It's always.
I assume people aren't talking about me, so that works out.
About Clips.
Either way.
Yeah. I've known Mike for years, and now that I finally started beating him, I was willing to take him on the show. Because honestly, I've been playing HeroClix since the beginning, and Mike has been one of those players I've seen at local tournaments on a regular basis. And every time we played against each other, it's always been sealed, and he's always had these god pull picks. And then eventually we got to some constructed games, and he got some wins over me, and I'd never gotten a win against him until I think it was the first Rock States that we had, or Rock Provincials rather, at 401 Games. And then that's when I got my first win against him. And then I felt a little better about myself. And then I let him on the show. So I knew I wouldn't yell at him.
Right.
All right. First up, in the chat, if you're in the chat live watching, put in capital letters question in front of what you want to ask, because the chat's been a little busy. Most of you guys yelling at me for being muted for the first 10 minutes. So I just need to be able to catch your questions with that big capital letters question in here. And Manny wants to know, Odin or LeFay, which one is better for this metagame? And I think on that one, it's more based on your team. But Jay, I want to get your opinion on that matter.
Well, it's so situational, because I don't know if I would actually play Morgan Le Fay without Prob, because if she just misses, that's really bad. 150 points you've wasted. So with Prob somehow, I probably think Morgan edges it out just with the sheer number of options and damage and all that stuff. But Odin is also solid in his own right. I don't feel like one is necessarily better than the other. He also just does a lot of cool, different-y things, whereas she just is straight up offensive. I feel like with the Prob, I have to give the edge to Morgan, though.
All right. Tom?
Yeah, which one has Pulse Wave again?
LeFay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
Okay.
If Odin had Pulse Wave, it'd be pretty weird with his 0 range. So, yeah, probably not her.
All right. He also follows up. Any thoughts about Darwin? There's too many Goblin King teams and Exospecs. Well, Exospecs is not yet a problem officially.
It will be.
But it will be, yes. Darwin is a thought, though you do have to prepare yourself for when you do play Darwin. Certain teams said, okay, I know Darwin's a problem for my team. I'm going to put a Surtur and a Perplex on my team. Or not even a Surtur and a Perplex. I'm going to just Surtur the Darwin and be done with my problems.
Is Surtur actually seeing much play right now?
Again, it's that situation of I'm playing Exospecs, I'm playing Goblin King. Am I worried about it? I'm just going to deal with it. So Surtur isn't seeing the level of play that's like, oh my god, don't play Darwin because people are going to play Surtur. But it's going to be, oh, people are going to bring Exospecs and Goblin King. Cool. All right, then I'm just going to bring Darwin. And then that's like, okay, well, you're bringing Darwin. I'm bringing these things, so I'm going to bring Surtur. I'm going to take the 1 damage. I'm going to deal with it. And then I'm going to deal with your Darwin. And I'm going to actually be up a couple points.
I mean, yes, but also the damage has still been done. And also, if the Darwin team has first turn immunity, that's pretty cool, because Darwin's effect is not affected by first turn immunity. So, I don't know. I still think Darwin's a decent play overall. It's just, if they really want to build to deal with them, that's fine. And it's not like He's 50 points and Schroeder's 25, so it's like a terrible trade-off. It's close enough that I'm okay with it, but that's just me. So,
Oh, Tom, your thoughts?
My heart agrees with Jay. I think my head still feels like counter plays rarely see the board. They see a lot of discussion, they see a lot of people thinking, and then not too many people wind up playing it unless they have a way of making it really good, like unless it does something in its own right. And Darwin doesn't do anything much in his own right. Like, I guess you could give him exospecs if you just want to have a source of poison or some plasticity for tie-up or whatever. But unless you think you're giving your exospecs to someone else who's better at that point.
well, you're also not going to play exospecs with Darwin on another character anyway because
of
Darwin.
course, yeah, because he can't choose it. So yeah. All right.
No. I meant because Darwin also damages friendlies.
Right, but wouldn't he damage himself?
No, it's other character.
Oh, well, I guess there is a possibility. But all the same, I guess I go back to the thesis, which is that I find counter meta plays don't see a lot of use unless people find some way to make them good in their own right. And as yet, it just hasn't happened. Even with things like Loki's staff or other things that you could give to him, it just, I don't think people are going to. So again, my heart agrees with you. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, here's the thing. Darwin, you put it on, and then you come across a team that doesn't have a Goblin King and doesn't have the exospecs. So now you got 35 points of dead weight that you could be using in better ways.
Yeah. He's not awful.
Yes and no. I feel like he's so cheap.
Okay. What is he doing really
Tie up.
actively? Like
Tie up.
And in most cases, how are you getting him there? He's not exactly fast on his own.
He could be theme propping.
If it's an X-Men team, they have really good taxis, and he can theme prop, and also his X-student trait isn't completely irrelevant. So you never know.
So
your point is well made, though.
The one time I came across an X-Men team with my monster team, which has a Surtur, he came across my team. I said, okay, I picked something with the Goblin King. One of the powers was regeneration. I Surtured his Darwin, dealt a damage to everything on his team. I'm up 10 points, and I healed my Goblin King.
Yeah, that's also
from across the board.
That's one game that happened. You know, it's anecdotal evidence. It's going to be hard to say because there's going to be exospecs on every team, and then are people going to build with him in mind? It's hard to say right now. But for Worlds, I don't think it's a bad play because I just feel like there's the archetypes don't use Surtur, and I feel like what is going to be using Surtur, like random Samcap teams that don't have pick a power anyway. Like I don't know.
Monster team all of a sudden off of the list of potentially good teams.
I mean, you're not playing it, so
I didn't say I wasn't.
Anyway, we'll see.
Anyway, where I'm going with this is that putting a counter on a team, you find it's wasted when what you're countering isn't there, or you find yourself often looking at it and going, oh, but I'd rather do this better thing that's more consistent and more a part of the team. The second you start finding yourself in the counter trap, that's when I find you make your team a bit weaker in general, like in just general holes, because a lot of these one-hit counterpoints are like Spiderling, and then you come across you go with Spiderling, and then they're a team that doesn't really use Colossal Retaliation. And it's just Spiderling, really. It's like, is my team better for having used Spiderling, or is my team better for having used Darwin? In most cases, it generally isn't, except in that matchup. And that's kind of what the point I'm trying to stress is counterplay only works if the counterplay is a necessity, right? Nighthawk Prime was a counterplay that worked in so many situations. Like, nobody plays with their stats in this game.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're playing against Weird World, because I forced you to play with your stats.
It's also a weird thing where like you almost want Darwin to be more points so he could do relevant call-ins, but being 35 is kind of just bad overall in most respects. Yeah. Darwin, why don't you just cost more points? How about that? That'd be nice.
If you cost more points, you'd do more thing. You'd have more clicks, and then my Surtur argument is neutered.
Yeah.
So anyway. The hard part is looking near your team and say, is my team better with Darwin as a whole? And if you can't say like in every single situation Darwin is better for my team, in a small world where if you're running against a lot of exospecs and a lot of Goblin Kings, sure, play a Darwin, because that's on a local level that will start to punish the people who are bringing those guys in. But on the grand scale, they'll start to just figure out a way to play around it. It's one click in a lot of cases. We all take pushing damage.
Right.
We know how to manage a damage. All right. But hey, Happy Little Heraclix is addressing this one specifically at you, Jay.
Oh no!
Since you're part of the judge team, all right.
I'm not part of the judge team.
Sorry, some part of administration level team or some part of thing in general. Are
What's
you
the
aware
judge?
of when you can enter Hall F on Friday and Saturday? Convention opens at 10, but registration for Click starts at 9.
I have no clue. I'm on demo team.
I'm trying to pull the PAX Unplugged thing up now.
Yeah, even if I was on judge team, I would still have no idea. So sorry.
Schedule. So Friday. See, right here it says Friday 10 a.m. and it lists a bunch of things. But where's the door open? Show hours 10 a.m. Expo Hall hours all start at 10 a.m. So everything seems to start at like I'll share the thing right now. Share the screen with everybody so you can all see what I'm looking at. So. Right there. So here's the PAX Unplugged site. Schedule Friday, the 11th of November. On this, the first things listed are 10 a.m. Okay, that's a schedule. That might be wrong. You might have to get 9, or might. Anyway, initially that was my thought, but then we got the show hours here on the right. Show hours are listed at 10 a.m. For all of the days. All 3 days are listed at 10 a.m. The Expo Hall is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on all the days. And of course the show hours are 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. on all of these days. So this is what I have, and everything leans towards 10. So I don't know if there's any kind of pre-entry situation or like get in the door at 9 a.m. sort of situation. I don't have my tickets in hand. I have to get mine when I get to PAX myself, because we didn't want to pay $30 in shipping for our PAX passes, because they're paper. That makes no sense.
Right.
I have to be in the hall before those hours, but that's also working, so I don't know.
Yeah, when you work
Yeah.
together, that's a different set of hours, right? So.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think there's any more information we can give you.
Yeah. And then when I looked at the map last week on my own show, when I looked at the map, I didn't see entrances on either side of the hall, so I don't even know where the front door if the front door goes to the WizKids booth, great. Or if the front door is at the other side, which is the opposite, like the WizKids is at the front of one of the walls. But if it's that wall doesn't have the door entry level on that, like you have to go to the other side of the hall. I don't know. I feel like they should have kind of staggered the time back a little bit. I don't know what kind of options they had in the matter, or if they fall under the Expo Hall of timings. So if they're forced out at 6, I doubt they are, but I don't know. That's between them and PAX. So long story short, none of us know if you can get in before 10, and everything's listed at 10. A lot of congrats on 200 episodes. Thank you guys very much. 200 episodes, jeez.
Right.
How do you guys put up with me so much?
I ask myself the same question all the time. Don't worry about it.
And this was Jay's last episode of the show.
You say that a lot.
I do. We've had a lot of last episodes. Oh, here we go. PAX official Twitter mentioned today that Hall F can be entered early for miniature tournaments.
Okay.
We do qualify, so.
Are we in Hall F?
I think we're a pretty big tournament.
I was just wondering if we're in Hall F.
We're a pretty big miniature tournament. Is what
it
you're
was
saying.
Yes, it was a joke.
Okay.
Where I come from, we call that humor.
Well,
I know
here's
it's
the
not.
thing.
I know it's not a familiar concept, Jay.
No, but my pure autism went in because like a miniatures tournament to me is, and I'm thinking of miniatures in Warhammer, HeroClix. Like I can't get off of the miniatures as a game. I forget it's also the description of a size. So I hear somebody say a miniature version of something, I'm immediately in Warhammer 40K or something like that.
That's what made it so hilarious.
You're so funny. I love you so much.
I tell everybody.
I hope you have extra fluffy pillows, Tom. All right, here we go. Chase Fields, do you like Regent at full points with support or building him into a more well-rounded team at his lower dial? Oh, for sealed.
I think you only play him at full if you pull prob.
I think, yeah, that was an agreement we made a little while ago where it's like, hey, if you have prob, you play him full points. If you don't have prob, you play him at 100.
I mean, Tom made top 2 with that open with 100-point region, so... But also, it's team sealed, so you're way more... You're not going to not pull an Alex Wilder, most likely. Most likely.
We just did.
Or even there's enough...
proved you can go without it.
We had some weird duplicate packs, though, so I don't know. But,
Commons duplicated, Jay? It's almost like they
No, we duplicate rares.
You had 2 Iron Mans.
I mean, most likely.
Also... Okay, here's a disclaimer I got to throw at everybody because this is a disclaimer we're ignoring right now. We are not from the same brick in this situation. Tom pulled 4 packs. I don't know where'd you get your 4 packs?
2 different stores. So yeah, we're
Jay,
combining.
Where'd you get your 2 packs?
Wait. Yeah, it's 3 different stores, 6 packs. So.
Yeah.
So guess what?
I don't know. I don't know how WizKids does it. Right. It's probably
they may scramble.
Do we know if WizKids randomizes?
I don't know. Jay, did you guys randomize last year?
Last year where?
Last year.
Last year where? I've only demoed for WizKids.
I swear you were part of handing them out. I actually yelled at you when you handed them to me too. So
no.
You turned to me and said, "Why?" I turned to somebody and said, "Why'd you give me these crappy packs?"
No, I was not there. Sorry. But I know when we did the Rock World Cup, I specifically didn't randomize. I would pick 6 boosters out of a brick and then go on to the next brick with the 4 or whatever. So it was basically even, or hopefully even. I think from what I saw, distribution was pretty even. I think the worst pulls were a team pulled the Common Prime. Was that your team, Tom? You pulled no super rares, just Common Prime?
I can't remember.
But basically, I don't know, randomizing can be really weird.
It's
like with
yeah, you're right. We didn't pull any super rares. At Rocktober. Yeah.
Basically, after seeing the Easton and Howard's and Warren's pulls last year, I think randomizing is a little bit of a risky business game there. So,
in answer, yelling at some poor random dude. Who's a poor random dude I'm yelling at?
Oh.
I don't know. Somebody mentioned something in chat like, "Who am I yelling at?" Oh yeah, you know what? No, I yelled at whoever gave me my bad packs. I didn't even open them in the end. I knew they were bad. That's what it was. And it wasn't some random dude. It was probably Anthony or any of the wonderful members of the HeroClix judging team. They're all really good. I do it in jest. Chase Fields also wants to. So yeah, I think we're on the page of bring prob or
100 points. Yeah.
Or 100 points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Tom did. So.
Okay. Chase Fields. Do you expect to see Tri-Sentinel make a large impact at Worlds? I know he's on a couple builds, so a large impact, maybe. Some impact, possibly.
I feel like.
No, go ahead, Jay.
No, go. I feel like.
I feel like there's enough synergy with his generic keywords that you could do some work, like with the Green Lanterns or with Pass with the Claripress or whatever. He could be just thrown on a random Shredder team and hope you win map roll. I think there's enough going on there that'll be an impact. I don't know how huge, but I feel like there will be some level.
All right, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, how do you quantify a word like big, huge?
It's a big figure.
Yeah, huge impact in a wide meta. It's really hard to say.
I would also suggest that a lot of people who are not building a theme, a lot of the Sam Cabs of the world who like to have a Retaliator back in their starting area, unless they really need the leadership, in which case I think Groot is still the best call. But I think Tri-Sentinel will quickly become another one of the short list that is being considered. It's expensive, but it's pretty potent. And a lot of times, like your point is well made, that you want to win, you want to be on a theme team so you can win maps, you can go somewhere with a ton of blocking. A lot of people are already putting you in places with a lot of blocking. A lot of people are use blocking maps to their advantage as it is, and Tri-Sentinel turns that advantage around. So yeah, I suspect it'll show up. It's pretty good.
I also wonder if there will be any use of the Iceman non-student ID card because of that barrier inspiration for that reason.
Huh. That's a good concept. I like that.
Tom's gonna use it now.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
What do you need to borrow,
The
Tom?
the Colin and the ID card.
You know what? It's funny. This rotation of ID cards around, I have been really bad about collecting them, and I've been relying on my buddy Aiden to get everything I need. Mostly because I haven't been using them on most of my teams. My most recent build is the first time I've actually been like, it's time for me to use ID cards. Like a lot.
I think Sam Cap uses ID cards. Yeah, that checks out.
You trying to be clever, Jay?
Apparently.
Okay. You just caught me off guard. I'm trying to get used to it here.
Right.
All right. Happy New Year, Clicks. I have not yet packed my Everyman team. I have not yet built my Everyman team. I haven't decided if I'm going to build my Everyman team from my collection or from my buckets. So stay tuned. This, and before we move on to our outro, I just want to remind everybody this is probably going to be the last show this week, as Prep for Worlds has been our focus. So, in fact, myself and Amber have already packed all of our clothes. We now have to start packing on our figures. And once I pack my team, and Tom, please pack my parts of my team that you have.
For heaven's sakes, what do you think they am? They're going to leave them at home?
Tom, allow my paranoia to settle in because they are not in my possession. And therefore, I'm allowed to be paranoid as my Nightwing came back to me, but didn't know me.
I had used that Nightwing a fair amount.
You had my Nightwing, like, I think my Nightwing has a bed in your house or something like that. I don't know. He whines a lot in the night because I still.
I used him a lot.
You still have a retired figure? What?
Easy. I'm trying to get him acclimated to the house before I get rid of him.
Wow, you're mean. Okay.
Hey man, did you hear what he said on TV? He used some naughty words.
Technically, he wasn't Nightwing at the time.
It's still the same person, man. Still the same person behind the mask.
Sure.
He's the man behind the mask.
Oh, I think the problem was that Tom didn't realize he had your Nightwing. I think he thought it was your Nighthawk.
Yes, that's probably the real reason.
Tom has never used Nighthawk Prime, have you?
Oh, plenty of times.
It's Mary Marvel team. Yeah, he did.
Oh,
I believe I won
copied
a certain
that team too.
Rock Canada Cup. One of them.
One where he beat you.
When you get to be 35 and you have more important things in your life to pay attention to, you too will forget things you did 3 years ago.
I'll never forget.
Oh man. Anyway, 200 episodes. Anything you want to say on the way out there, Tom?
No, I think we've said a lot of the good stuff. I hope that everybody's real excited for Worlds this week. I know that I am. It's a great time to be a HeroClix player. It's a great time to be a part of this community. And it's a great time to celebrate 200 fine episodes. Here's to 200 more. Let's finish the bottle.
Cheers. Jay?
I think I said too much as it is, so I'll just stop there.
But it's been exciting to hear you say things, Jay.
Good luck. Good luck with
Yeah, good luck not hearing me or seeing me at all at PAX. That's going to be fun.
Well,
are you kidding?
Depends.
I'm going to
Jay,
go over
if
to
I
demos.
do bad, I'm going to want to buy a new board game. Because if I do bad enough, I might not be playing HeroClix anymore. I'm not.
Hey, if they have another Star Trek property coming out and you can demo it, I'm into it. I missed it last year, so.
Hey,
well, did you buy?
Is anything the WWE stuff? Blink twice.
I have.
Once. Okay, damn.
Galactic Enterprises. I found it to be quite fun.
I have bought it. I have never played it. I own it.
It's quite good.
We should play it.
All right. So 200 episodes. I want to thank everybody for watching live. Everybody for watching in the archive. Tom, do you still have that treat loaded up that we were going to do for the ad read last week?
Oh no, I've got a sickly person sleeping.
Ah, darn.
Let's wait until people are healthy.
All right, when Sarah's healthy, then we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it proper time. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching live, watching on the archives. I want to thank our sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com/Apex Insiders, Apex-Insiders. The Apex Insiders is your one-stop source for all things HeroClix. Great minds are really starting to brain dump right now. It's just before Worlds. This is where you get your info. This is where it all spills out. Understand from the great minds what the way they're thinking about the game and what they'll do as far as HeroClix is concerned. So check it out. Again, majesticccg.com/apex-insiders for your scoop. $3 a month gets you great brain dumps, and their free site on a regular basis has some really cool articles as well, though not necessarily strategy related, more fun stuff, like, you know, my really silly prediction article for WWE that I don't know if I'm right about them going Attitude Era first. We'll see. Anyway, Worlds is just around the corner. I can't wait to see some of you guys out there in Philadelphia at PAX Unplugged this Friday. For the Team Worlds, and then Saturday for World Finals, and then Sunday maybe around the floor looking at board games, because that's my plan, at least as far as PAX is concerned, assuming I can do well enough and make the top 16 in Team Worlds or do well enough in the single constructed. But it's the last second, guys. You've got 3 more days that aren't supposed to be traveling. Some of you might be traveling on Wednesday, I don't know. You got a couple more days to get this last little bit of practice, every little bit of practice about your team. It's 200 episodes now, we've been saying it. Practice is important because practice will make your team, Tom, say it on the way out.
Better, everybody. Better.
Have a good night. 200 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jay. I love you guys. We are out of here.
Woo!